Hi everyone, welcome to my channel. My name is Christina. You may have seen some of my previous videos where I take you along with me traveling around Southeast Asia. But for now, I'm here with my sister Monica, and today we're going to talk to you about third culture kids, also known as TCKs for short, and just talk about our experience being third culture kids. So I'll just start off by reading off the definition of TCKs from Wikipedia. So third culture kids are individuals who are raised in a culture other than their parents or the culture of their nationality and live in such an environment during a significant part of their early development years. So Monica and I qualify as TCKs. We were born in Spain and we grew up in Spain and moved to Scotland when you were 10 and I was 13.
As you guys know, we're mixed. If you watched our previous video where we talked about our mixed upbringing and how we grew up and our struggles and everything, and then obviously we came to Scotland, and coming to Scotland came with certain difficulty as well, which we'll go on to perhaps talk about in the video today.
Please check out the other video that we filmed on Monica's channel. I'll link it down as well. And yep, down below. We're going to get started with the TCK tag. So the first question that I have written down here is, how many passports do you have and what nationality are you?
So we just have one Spanish passport. We just have one passport basically, and our nationality is Spanish. We haven't really felt the need to change to a British passport just because we feel like the Spanish passport is as strong as the British passport, but obviously we could just change any time, but we just haven't really bothered to.
Exactly, and also now with Brexit and everything, we haven't really thought about becoming British. We could apply for it and stuff. Yeah, and you can have a dual nationality, like both Spanish and British. So what's your first language and how many languages do you speak? So my first language, or our first language, is Spanish, and we also speak English and French. So yeah, our mother tongue is Spanish. We learned English, like we began to speak English fluently once we moved to Scotland, and we also speak French because we attended a French school when we lived in Spain. And yeah, I mean, we both really love learning languages, so we're learning languages on top of that on our free time. And
she's basically fluent in German. So.
No, that's not true. I'm still a beginner in German. Hopefully I become fluent in German someday, who knows. But yeah, Monica herself, she's studying Italian, Arabic, so yeah, we really enjoy it.
I was going to say also that you said that Spanish was our first language, but I kind of feel like Spanish and English are quite up there together. Like, I wouldn't be able to say that I'm better at Spanish than English because I feel I'm stronger in English when it comes to certain things. Like,
true.
For example, when it comes to uni or doing a presentation, I couldn't actually do a presentation in Spanish because I don't feel I have the practice, or I just feel like I haven't really practiced doing presentations in Spanish, and I just can't express myself as well when it comes to doing things like that, or talking about my degree or things like that. It's more conversational, and I'm pretty much fluent in Spanish, but I'm more confident when it's more conversational.
I feel the same way as Monica. So basically when I'm doing stuff at university, because we study, our technical fields are completely, we study everything in English, we feel so much more confident talking and explaining everything in English. With each other, we just speak Spanglish, to be honest. I'm just realizing, we genuinely speak Spanish most of the time, but depending on the topic or subject of the conversation, we'll speak more in English.
But I don't think we've ever like spoken a whole day just in Spanish. Like,
no,
there'll be a word where I'm just like, okay, I have to say this in English because it just fits nicely. Like, I don't have to think about it. Like, if it was just a Spanish word that I know, I'll just say it, but sometimes I have to actually think of the word.
And then another thing, when it comes to French, we never speak in French to each other. Like, sometimes I find myself saying stuff in French because I just like the way it sounds. It sounds weird, but it's just maybe so I don't lose it, but because we don't have anybody to practice it with apart from each other, we don't really, especially because like if we practice with each other, because we're not learning new vocabulary, it's just the same stuff.
It's quite limited. I wanted to add really quickly, I think also when we want to say something like in code language, we use French.
True.
Where we barely use it,
but like if we want to say something in front of our parents that we don't want them to understand, we just say something in French, and they're like clueless because our parents don't speak French. But we're really fortunate, like really grateful that they gave us all those opportunities. Another thing I was going to say is that when we were kids, they signed us up to like Mandarin and like Japanese classes. I don't remember anything like from what I learned. Following up on that question, what language do you think in?
People always ask me this, and
Or what do you dream in?
like,
I always
what
get that
language do you
asked.
dream in?
Yeah, right.
What language do you think in? But honestly, I think in like images, and like you just think in images. Really, you don't really think in words, do you?
I don't agree. I think
I don't know,
in
I can't
Spanish.
remember.
I think in Spanish. Sometimes I think in English. Even
Oh,
yeah.
I just remembered.
What?
Good question, actually. I just remember now that you're saying that. Sorry for interrupting. I think if I'm like in a uni environment and everything's in English, I will think in English. But if I'm at home, actually, I think in English.
If I'm at home, I'm
I'm
just
not
thinking
sure.
in Spanish. Just my own thing. Depends. Again, it's the same as with speaking. It depends what it is about. Like sometimes I know a field really well in English, and I just cannot find the vocabulary for it in Spanish. But then other times, I'm just like, no, Spanish. It's like journaling even. Like sometimes I have this app where I journal, like Morning Pages it's called, and I just write my thoughts when I remember to. And sometimes I wake up and I like, yeah, let's journal in Spanish. Other days I'm like, let's journal in English.
Oh,
So it's a bit
really?
of a mix, yeah.
Oh, okay, no, I'm always English. I never journal in Spanish.
Sometimes I
like
feel
I never get that
because I
thing
feel
of journaling in Spanish, even though I should.
I feel because I used to read quite a lot of Spanish books when I was younger, as opposed to English. Or as opposed to you, maybe.
I think you have a way more extensive vocabulary than me in Spanish.
Yeah, I think so. But the opposite may go. Like you
Like-
may have a broader vocabulary in English.
I'm not sure. I don't think so.
Okay, we'll see.
I don't know. I just think that it depends on the situation that I'm in. If I'm around Spanish people, then I will think in Spanish. If I'm around English people, I'll think in English. I think as a general case, I think in English, I think. Because I journal in English, I just do everything, absolutely everything in English. I read in English. I hardly ever read in Spanish, even though I do want to start reading in Spanish. I only really talk Spanish, that's pretty much it.
So the next question is, what countries have you lived in? As we've said, we've lived in Spain and in Scotland, and also I just came back from living abroad in Germany for 5 months, so I don't know if you consider that living because it wasn't a long enough period of time where you're able to settle fully and embrace the culture wholly, but it was a great experience, and yeah, I learned a lot.
And then obviously I'm the same, so I've just lived in Spain 10 years and in Scotland 10 years.
So do you feel like a local in any of these countries, or in Spain or Scotland? Do you feel local in Spain?
So I've not been to Spain in like 3-4 years, I
Oh my
think.
God,
When was the last
really?
time I went?
I was there last year, but that was a really spontaneous decision. I wasn't planning to. I just happened to have a few weeks off and I went, which I'm really fortunate for. But yeah, the year before that I didn't go because I was doing an internship in the States, and then the year before that I think I went. I think that must be it. So what is that, 3 years ago?
So it's been 3 years, so I can't really remember, but I mean, I didn't really feel like a local. The reason for that is because I'm living in Scotland, so I don't really feel like a local in Spain.
Okay.
I don't feel like I just kind of blend in.
Right. I feel
I
like,
don't know. I'm not sure. I mean,
I feel like because we speak the
know.
language, you know,
yeah,
we already know the streets and
already,
everything.
like, by heart.
I feel like I do feel like a tourist sometimes, but I also feel like a local. It's a bit of a mix.
I mean, yeah, I think we obviously feel like a local in our hometown, in our like we've grown up in Spain. We know like the streets off by heart. Like we just know it.
Yeah, also because we have a strong passion for traveling, so we want to explore different parts of the world, and we feel, I mean, at least for me, I feel like I do love seeing my family and friends again in Spain, but I just don't want to miss out on the opportunity of discovering a new country, for example, and I want to use those resources, the time, the money, in discovering something new, because I just love understanding this world better and meeting new people around the world, and yeah, it's just a bit of a compromise, I would say.
And then a local in
say.
Scotland, I mean,
I wouldn't say either.
yeah, but no.
Yeah.
Like, I still feel like I don't belong in
True,
Scotland either.
I feel
like,
the same.
I don't feel like, oh, I blend in so well with Scottish people. Like, I feel so accepted by everyone and by my community.
Like, I still, people
of
see me
course,
and
but-
they're like, oh, she's not Scottish, like, she's not one of us.
Yeah, we never feel like, oh, we're one of them. We're a Scottish person. We just don't belong anywhere. Straight up.
We
just
don't belong anywhere,
don't
but we
belong
also belong everywhere. Another question here asks like, what is home for you? And when I was in Germany, I was thinking about this quite a lot. Like, I was there during the whole Corona crisis, and my university told me to come back, and I was like, no, I'm gonna stay here because I really love it here. And things are, but I think I made the right choice because things were much better in Germany than they were in the UK. They were managing the crisis in a much better way, and I just thought, you know, it's safe here for me. I was writing my thesis, and I just felt like I'm in a good place here. I don't feel like I need to go back home. So for me, I thought about this quite a lot. I was like, actually, I feel like at home in Germany. I'm great. Like, I really like where I'm living. I like the people I'm living with, etc. I just, yeah, had no inconvenience. And that got me thinking. I was like, I can honestly live in any country as long as my living conditions are decent. Yeah. And yeah, I feel home for me is where my parents are, but it's not a geographical location. So obviously I'll always have that strong connection to Scotland because our parents live here. But if they happen to move to Japan, then I'll happily go to Japan, and that'll be home for me.
Yeah, I think home is definitely where our parents are. So I think home for us now is Scotland because our parents are here.
Exactly.
So, yeah.
So the next question is, what do you miss about the countries you've lived in? So in our case, what do we miss about Spain? So I'd say we miss the food mostly.
Yeah, the food.
We miss our family in Spain and friends.
The weather.
The weather we miss so much. This summer in Scotland has been
so bad.
Genuinely,
so
it's been
bad. It's been
so
rainy every day.
So cloudy every day. Like today has been decent.
Day. No, even today it was still.
I think
this is a bit sunny.
I think today is good because it's a little bit sunny. So for us, it's like wow.
But it's been so cold. Really it's been raining.
And it's actually quite awful. A shame because we barely we're lucky and we are rarely in Scotland during the summer. Like we always travel somewhere else. So for once we are in Scotland over summer and the weather is awful. Like other years it's been nice.
I think even last year, like I remember my friends saying like, oh, it's been so sunny and like it's been great.
Maybe for their standards.
No, but like 20 over degrees, like 25 degrees even. Like 25 degrees is really good. And I was in London and it was like 38 degrees and I was like, oh god. But yeah, like it's been bad. I don't know if it's like climate change or what's going on. That's one thing that we miss from Spain: the weather, the food, as you said, family.
But yeah, the food there, I just really miss like a good paella. Yeah, like our grandma's food is so good. Like so many things that we love about Spain. Horchata.
There's like horchata. Oh my god, I'm craving it so much.
Oh my god,
I'm craving horchata like so bad.
So it's this like drink. I think it's originally from Valencia. Is it?
I think so.
It's from this plant, horchata de chufa. Like I don't know chufa. I don't know the word in English.
Horchata de chufa.
But yeah, it's really nice. It's like plant-based.
Sweet.
Yeah, really sweet drink.
And it's like milk, so nice.
Kinda. So good. And I just
turrón as well. I love turrón.
Yeah, turrón is like
especially in Christmas.
Like a Christmas treat, like tablet.
It's like
chocolate.
A bar.
Yeah,
like wait,
and it has different flavors.
Like nutty.
Depends. You can have like the egg one, and it's quite like
the yolk one.
Yeah. And you want croquetas, like
croquetas as well.
Oh my god, those are my favorite. And
yeah, like paella and like seafood. Like marisco and
like the food here.
Like
you always say with the bread. Right?
Okay, I say the last thing, the bread as well. Oh my god, you go to Asda and there's like no nice bread, like nice crunchy baguettes.
Yeah, like Superbar is here. The bread is quite bland in our opinion because we're used to like Spanish French bread, like French
amazing,
baguettes.
like crunchy,
really good.
Crispy.
Yeah.
Like, I also miss the cheese.
The cheese?
Some like cheese. You don't find like amazing cheese here. Like nice cheese, like proper, like lovely. I don't know if it's like queso manchego. I'm trying to think of other things that are good. Like tapas, things like that, like little
pinchos. Yeah. So we are from the Basque Country, so we have our own version of tapas, which is pinchos.
So other things we miss about Spain are...
I really miss the humour as well in Spain.
The humour and the kind of people being outside. Like you see people outside all the time and grands talking with grandpas and grandpas talking with grandpas.
Like the vibrant life
mums
after,
talking with mums.
Yeah, like after work or like here in our town, for instance, like everything shuts at 5 p.m. and it's so dead afterwards. In Spain, everything is like lively. People hang out in bars and they just have a little wine, just in the little terraces outside, and it's just so like happy. I love it. It's really warm. I think Scottish people are really lovely, but just in Spain, the warmth that people
like give off,
yeah, it's just like for instance, just saying hi to someone, you just give 2 kisses, whereas here it's like you'll just like shake someone's hand. And when I first came here, I was like, oh, like why are we in a business meeting or something?
Yeah,
like, what is this?
Or even like, for example, if you're going shopping and you go into the supermarket, the cashiers or the assistants,
yeah, they just
here like
chat.
they don't here, for example, they don't talk to you. Like they'll just give you a smile. They're super.
Sometimes
kind.
they do talk to you, but
Yeah,
not very
but
often.
it's not. I just
like
mean
that.
like, for example, a worker won't speak to another worker while they're at work. They won't be like, hey, like
Oh,
how was
okay.
your weekend? Like what did you do? And how's
It
Telly?
depends.
And
Sometimes it's
but not usually. Like I've been
Okay.
to the supermarket every time, and they're never like, how's Telly? And like, how's your son? And blah blah. And they'll have like a really chill conversation while they're like attending the customer. And in Spain, they'll literally be talking. The women will be like the cashier, and then the other women will be like stacking shelves, and they're just talking about how their son just got married or something. And they're really chill. They talk to the customer and be like, oh, so how was your Thursday evening? Like, what did you do? And how's blah blah. And usually, like, the customers are quite loyal, so they're usually the same customers. So they basically just know like their whole life story. And here, it's just like, I'm seeing you for the first time again. Like, they don't really. It's just like a smile. Also, another huge thing that I love is when for lunch, like lunch is lunch. Lunch is sacred.
Lunch is sacred in Spain.
Like lunch is sacred.
Like the shops close
Yeah.
at lunchtime, and they just have a wee break.
Yeah, like lunch is really
Yeah.
really sacred. They literally have to shut the shops, as you said, and there's
even
no.
they're closed on Sundays. Like supermarkets are shut. Also in other European countries, like Germany, for instance. But here they're open 7 days a week.
Lunch is really really sacred in Spain, so everyone, like your whole family, would be sat around a table and you'll eat lunch and talk and communicate. Here I feel like there's not that sense of sitting around a table. Obviously it depends with every family.
I think it
Like,
depends on every
hugely
family. What shocked me a lot moving here was the fact that people would just eat like a sausage roll, like still in university. like I'm like,
yeah, like they would eat
are
like
we,
a little
like-
baguette, but that's fine. Like that's each person's
preference. I would say.
preference. But yeah, like they would just have like
We're-
two sandwiches for lunch, and
right?
for me that was like nothing.
We're used to having 3-course meals every lunchtime, and now we probably just have like our main meal, then dessert.
Yeah,
So
that's
it's
all
not
we
like
have.
as big, but I think because here dinner is the more important meal, like more food is being eaten, whereas we prioritize our lunch and we have a bigger meal then. That maybe that's where the contrast comes from. But yeah, also the times, like we are used to having dinner really late.
And like 11, even 10.
Well, we're really
11,
bad,
even 12.
but like in
at
Spain
times.
probably like 9-10.
9-10 would be
9-10.
normal, yeah.
Here it's like 5-6, but even some people
I know
have
some people
a
used
4.
to have even like 3 o'clock.
Really?
We would come back from
That's
school
like late
at like
lunch.
3-4, and people would be like, I'm about to have my tea, I'm about to have dinner, and I was like, mate, I'm about to have lunch.
Right?
But obviously they would have like supper
Right.
later.
Yeah,
But
true. Yeah, it's just we've never really like we've lived here for 10 years and we haven't really
adapted to
adapted
the
or
customs.
acquired the customs. Like we still have our Spanish customs because that's
Yeah.
what we know. Like, yeah.
And we're just kind of, we're okay with it. Like,
Yeah.
obviously if I need to go to someone's house and they have dinner at 6, like
Yeah.
or even at uni actually, I think I have lunch around 12 now, like 12:1. I always stick to 12:1.
So the next question is, what does friendship look like for a TCK?
I think it probably depends quite a lot, but I think TCKs probably have a more ethnically diverse friendship group just because they have more experience of like living in different places, so they're just more kind of adapted to interacting with people from all over the world, or not all over the world but from different countries. So for example, in my case, I have friends from literally all over the world, like Europe, every single continent really, and especially like I have friends from Southeast Asia, I have friends from Spain, France, Portugal, and also friends from the Middle East as well.
Yeah, I think it's also because we really enjoy learning about different cultures. If we think of children who have lived in, let's say, 7 different countries growing up, then yes, it makes sense that they have met people from all over the world and have a very diverse friendship group. In our case, growing up in Spain and growing up in Scotland, our upbringing has been really not very diverse, I would say.
Yeah,
like
not super
mostly
diverse.
predominantly white, especially in Scotland, in our school. When we started going to university, that we started meeting people who were from all different parts of the world. My friendship group is so diverse. I just find it really enriching to be meeting people from all over the world and learning about their life. And also I think it might be due to the fact that my friends who are from different countries and come to Scotland to study, they've already experienced that culture shock. So in a sense, I feel that we have that in common, and that might be why I feel like I gravitate towards those people. And I also really love learning about different cultures. So the next question is, what is it like living so far away from family and not seeing them as often?
Okay, so I think probably in the first couple of years that we moved was probably more difficult for my parents.
Yes.
Because their family was living in Spain, but I think we kind of got used to it, and then obviously because we had social media and WhatsApp and things like that and phone, we could just call. So I wouldn't really say it's like particularly difficult right now. Like we've kind
Not
of
right now,
grown accustomed to it, and so we're quite used to it. And we did go to Spain every single year, so we still were able to visit our family then. And yeah, we still keep in contact with our family, but obviously through social media, through phone, through FaceTime. So I wouldn't really say it's something that it is an issue currently for us.
No, I wouldn't say so either. It's just like anything, you just become accustomed to a new reality and how things work. One of my best friends, I'm actually really sad about this still, but one of my best friends just moved back to Malaysia, so I'm gonna miss her. I already miss her so much. So yeah, I love you so much, Sarah, if you're watching this. But yes, it's very difficult saying goodbye, but you also do it often enough. Well, not really, but like you do it in quite a few more times than someone perhaps that has lived in a single geographical location during their whole life and still is friends with people they're friends with from 20 years ago. And in our case, maybe it's not the case. Like I still am really good friends with some of my friends from school when I was in Spain, but it's a long distance relationship. Like we don't see each other as often, but they did come see me in Germany a few months ago, so we still like see each other, but it's not nearly as often. So a lot of like FaceTiming.
I really appreciate that you still have friendships from school and that you still keep those friendships going, because for example I'm still friends with my school friends from high school from Scotland, but I'm not really friends with my friends from back.
But maybe that's because you were younger.
Yeah.
As you said, like I still keep in touch with my friends from like school in Spain. And when I first moved to Scotland, actually, I used to cry every night because I missed my friends so much. And yeah, it was a really tough time for me back then. But now if I have to say goodbye to someone, I don't feel
as attached
as
or as
sad. Like obviously, because I know, like obviously now I'm older, so I can probably like going back to see them again is probably more likely because I can like travel by myself, whereas when you're a kid you can't just be like, yeah, mum and dad, I'm going to Spain to see my friends. Like they'll be like, hang on, what are you doing?
I would just say they're more diverse, and you learn from other TCKs. I feel like particularly most of my friends are actually TCKs that I can think of.
Yeah,
because
like if you think about it, like TCKs is like children of immigrants.
So yeah, I mean we can kind of relate in that sense, which is quite nice, I think.
So would you give your kids the same life? So I think I would, yes, because being a TCK comes with its pros and cons, but I think as a whole I'm very, very lucky, but also because it's the only life I know, so I cannot possibly compare, but I'm really lucky of everything that I have in my life, all the opportunities to travel, to learn from different countries, to also be more understanding of other cultures, and yeah, not be judgmental towards other people's way of life. Yeah. So maybe our kids, if we do have kids, will probably have that life.
I think so, and I'm sure my kid will be mixed, and they will be growing. They will be mixed. I mean,
we are mixed, so obviously they're going to be mixed.
So they're going to be mixed, and they're going to be TCK. So I feel like the struggles that I have gone through, I can teach them, and I feel like also more of the population and more like the next generations will be more TCKs and more mixed.
Yeah, and I want to believe that people will be more accepting of this way of life, I guess. The next question is, where are you from? So we answered very similarly on the video that Monica uploaded on her channel, but this we wanted to expand a little bit more on our answer there. It's basically a question that we get asked very often because of the way we look, the way that we speak, and we really feel like I feel Spanish. When someone asks me where I'm from, I say Spanish. But funnily enough, I considered myself Basque for the longest time.
Yeah, you did. I didn't really consider myself Basque.
And then when I moved to Scotland, people didn't understand what being
Basque
meant.
They were like, what
Literally,
is
they were
Basque?
like, what is that?
Does it mean?
It's like for the Basque country, and they were like, what? Basque where? I had to start saying that I was from Spain because people wouldn't understand where I'm from. So I just kind of, I felt more Spanish the longer I was away from Spain, which is a real weird occurrence now that I think about it, but it was true. And yeah, I've just said I'm Spanish from then. But I wouldn't say I'm Scottish. Would you say you're Scottish?
I think it depends. Like if I'm with a Spanish person abroad, I will say I'm Scottish. Like it depends.
Really?
Like if I'm in a chess tournament abroad, well, because I'm representing Scotland, that doesn't make sense.
I would also say
if I'm like, I don't know, like it just depends on the situation. But usually I usually say I'm Spanish, but then I might say I'm Scottish, like depending on the situation, I guess.
So yeah, that was the video that we just started talking for hours and hours.
We always like blab on for ages, so I don't think, yeah, it's not a surprise. We blabbed on the Mexican.
Yeah, we genuinely spoke for so long. But anyway, thank you so much for watching the video. We really enjoyed just chatting about our life, our experiences as third culture kids, and hopefully giving you a little bit of insight into what our life has been like. And maybe if you feel similarly, if you're also a TCK, you'll be able to relate to some of the stuff that we said. We'd love to hear in the comments or just on our social media if you're also TCK like us. And also subscribe to my channel so you can keep up with the vlogs that I'm uploading every week. And yeah, thank you so much for being on the video with me, Monica. Also subscribe to Monica's channel. I'll link everything down below. But yeah, see you guys. Bye.